everyone, this is Devin with Forward Ag. Today here we have the Verdant Robotics Sharpshooter sprayer. We're just going to do a brief overview of the components of it, kind of how it works, and then we're actually going to drive it through the field here a little bit and show you how it sprays weeds on the ground. This field has been drowned out, so there's not very much growing. There's just a few small weeds growing in here, but a really good environment to show you guys how this machine works. So to start with, we'll go over what's on the outside of the machine, and then we can fold up one of the wings and show you what's actually inside that's doing the spraying. On the back here is where the pump is located, which is going to be your fill port and your rinse port, your filter, and then this is the pump here, just a 12-volt DC pump. And you have a nice diagram here to show you different valve options and what to do for different scenarios with the valves. There's a 110-gallon tank here with continuous recirculation, so everything stays in suspension. Now we'll kind of walk around to the front here. You can see all these rubber flaps. Those are to give a consistent environment for the lighting for the cameras, and they're also to help with wind. So we recommend to stop spraying with this machine at about 17 to 18 miles per hour wind. So it can handle some pretty good winds. To actually connect it to the tractor, you need 3 hydraulic remotes. So there's one for each wing. This will fold my right wing, this will fold my left wing, and then this hydraulic remote will run the alternator that actually gives it power. And you do need a case drain. Here's my case drain for that hydraulic motor. If you look over here, this is the hydraulic motor, and then that's the alternator. Over here is the alternator, and that's going to give it power to operate. Now that I've shown you that, I think we'll fold up one of the wings a little bit, and then I can show you how the spray box works and how the turrets shoot the weeds. So now that we have one of the wings tipped up, you can see the spray boxes. There's 6 spray boxes on this machine, so if you come up closer here, you can see each spray box has 4 turrets. This is what the turret is, and this little nozzle here can swivel around, and it moves, and that's what shoots the weeds. There's also strobe lights. To get a consistent lighting environment, those strobe lights will be flashing for the cameras, and then these are the 2 cameras right here. And with those components there is what sees the weeds, determines if it's a weed or a crop, determines the size of the weed, and then the turret will fire off a shot at the actual weed. And depending on the size of the weed, if it's a big weed, the shot size can be big or small as a 1/4 of an inch. So now that I've shown you those, we'll fold this wing back down, and then we'll start doing some weeding here. It's November here in Minnesota, so we don't really have a true row crop environment to show it to you right now, but there's a few weeds coming up here, so this will be a good environment to kind of show you how it works. You can see like one example of the weeds that we got here. Here's a small weed coming up, and then here's another one here. So that's the type of weeds that we're going to try to shoot here. And we have some blue dye in the tank, so the spray coming out will be tinged blue, so it should be really easy to see. So I'll fold the wing down, and then we'll start it off. One thing I'll mention before we start is this tractor is a John Deere 6135E, and it has a Sabanto Steward autonomy kit on it. So you can see that it's got some antennas for communication, some GPS antennas. It's got a lot of modifications done to it for autonomous operation. So we're actually going to be running the tractor from the iPad as well as the Sharpshooter here. We have the Sharpshooter turned on. It's just a push button on the front. So we have that turned on. We're connected to everything. Everything's online. So I'll turn my screen recording on here so you can see what I see. And the first thing that we're going to do here is start the tractor. So I've got the mission control for the tractor pulled up here. We can just hit start engine, and then it'll fire up. All right, so now the tractor fired up, and we'll go into the Sharpshooter app here on the iPad. So we'll go over to that app. Just a few things on the app page here. I'll maybe bring it over to the camera so I can point it out. All right, so here's the app page. We can see the 6 spray boxes here. You can see they're kind of blinking orange and blue. It's just saying here that spray box 0. The height isn't quite right. It likes the height from 30 to 33 inches. This one's at 29 inches, probably because we're down in a rut right now. And then here we have our diagnostics, calibration, all that stuff. Here in the view page, this is where we're gonna see the actual view. So I'll go back here, turn the lights on. And that's gonna start the lights on underneath the machine. And now you can see, I can see what the camera sees, and here's all of the cameras across the machine. In setup page, we have a lot of settings here with different weed sizes, crop priorities, all kinds of different settings in here. Here's our thinning. So we can really play with it to get it to spray what we want and how much we want. Right now we're set to onions as the crop. That's one of the most developed crop models, so we're going to be using that one. But there's a lot of different crops here. You can see all these different crops. All right, up here at the top, this shows us the battery percentage, and this shows us our target speed. And if we tap on that, it shows us the load percent per turret. And all we have to do now is just turn on the weeding here with this red button, and it will start shooting weeds. So as soon as we turn that on, we could hear a few shots get fired at some weeds. If we view this, up in the top left here, it's going to be showing us different targets as it finds them. And all the targets will be circled in red, and then everywhere it sprays will have a red cross go on it. All right, now that we've got everything turned on, I'll just hit start on the tractor here, and the machine will start moving, and then we can take a look behind it and see what weeds we're hitting. Okay, we'll just pause it here. We have lots of weeds to look at. See the blue dye on this weed, basically everything green here has blue dye on it. You can see this one has a bunch of dye on it. Basically everything green, so it looks like it's doing a really good job. Come up here, here's a nice little one that got hit. This one got hit. These are pretty small weeds. These are about the size of a quarter. This one got hit. That's about the size of a dime. So yeah, it's doing a really good job. So I'll just send it off again. I'll see how fast it wants me to go in this type of weed pressure. It's actually telling me to go about 2 miles per hour in this type of weed pressure. About 1.5 to 2. Probably closer to 2. Yeah, it's doing a really good job. It's hitting everything that I can see. Look at some of these. These are pretty small. And then this one. Yeah, it's doing really good. Here's a bigger weed. Hopefully that explains to you guys kind of how the Sharpshooter works, and also how it pairs with Sabanto Steward autonomous tractor kit. We'll have a lot more videos coming on how this integration works and how this sprayer works and everything, so hopefully this was a good start. Thanks for watching.